I'm going to hand this over to Scotty. I'm going to ask him some questions. You see him here right now. He's a pretty big guy. He's got some tattoos. And I want people to know during this interview, you're gonna catch Scotty's vibe, and he's not gonna look like a guy that really had problems with chicks. And he actually did. He's come a long way, and he's gonna tell you about that right now. So, why don't you tell us about what life was like for you when you were starting out? I don't know. You said you've been in this stuff for about 3 years. What were you back then? What were you like?
Basically, it was below average. Wasn't really getting any girls. Well, none for that matter. Didn't get laid at all in high school. Never went to college. Totally underachieving. Wasn't until I started, going into the internet. Got a girlfriend over the internet. And it was basically just the mercy of whatever she wanted me to do. Had me pay for a vacation. And from there, about 3 years ago, got introduced to the seduction community, and I took a workshop and never looked back from there. Pretty much the rest is history.
So you were in, I think you were telling me, 2 unhealthy relationships before you got pickup skills, and you were kind of letting the girls boss you around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your starting point, do you think you were average with girls, below average? Like, where do you fall in for a lot of the new guys starting out? They kind of want to know their instructors, like where'd they start from? What do you think?
I think,
because Scotty's also coached a lot of people, and this is his first public appearance, if you will. So he knows a lot of students out there, and he knows their starting points, and a lot of them are very curious exactly where he was starting out.
yeah, I mean,
At least in your head, did you?
well, I felt way below average, mainly just because I never got laid, so, way below average. I got a hot girl through the internet, and, that definitely boosted my confidence a little bit, but, in the back of my head, I just knew I was really, under average, underachieving, so that's pretty much where I started.
So you found your way into the seduction community, and then you took a workshop, and then a lot of people, we tell a lot of our students, the workshop, it's not the end. It's actually a beginning. It's the beginning of a lot of people's pickup careers. It's certainly not the end. And I know it was, for Scotty here, it was his beginning. So after you took this workshop, how long ago was it, you think?
It was about 2.5, 3 years ago.
Okay, so
3.
he took a workshop about 2.5, 3 years ago, and he really, I don't know, after that, about a year and a half or so, you probably reached like really elite kind of game where you're getting,
Yeah.
3, 4 girls a week back home,
Mm-hmm.
potentially if you wanted to.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
I think, and it just went through a lot of different, ups and downs. I pretty much seen it all. I had to try everything, trial and error, for the most part.
So after the workshop, what was the first step that you took? You go right out in the field, you read some ebooks. Like tell us when you're starting to dive into the journey now.
Yeah, I mean, I basically just got off to a slow start, and then I really just, I knew I really committed myself, and went right into the field, like you said, and just knew I wasn't going to fail for the most part. And I basically started out with a lot of the just, you know, default openers, if you will. You know, just talking to girls with real basic stuff just to get my feet wet. But I knew that you know, there wasn't going to be any fail whatsoever. I was going to, you know, manage a way to meet lots of girls.
When you say no fail, though, that's an interesting term, because you never took like, when you say no fail, you don't mean like I'm never gonna get rejected, I'm never gonna get turned down. You pretty much mean you weren't gonna stop until you had what you wanted, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as, you know, I really had to feel that you know, sense of really, you know, down in the dumps, depressed, taken advantage of, cheated on. So I was really, you know, boiled up, and I had a lot of real drive, you know, and determination to, you know, get good, if you will, with women.
And you never waited for. You went about this very proactively. You went out on your own. I know that's sometimes it's a bit much to ask for a new guy. A lot of guys are like waiting on their friends, and they don't end up out because their friends aren't out. You would tell us, you go out during the day, how many nights a week, like what were you doing in the very initial stages when you were really developing quickly?
Yeah. I mean, I about had one guy I would go out on the regular, but I knew also that I couldn't be dependent on that, and to really get good at this stuff, you had to just, you know, commit yourself to going out by yourself, solo. And I was going out about, you know, pretty much every day without missing a beat, unless, you know, something got thrown off schedule. But I mean, I was out every single day for the most part. And during the day, night, you know, nothing was stopping me. Pretty much working around the clock.
You were putting yourself out there. That's certainly for sure. You know, we're gonna get more into this later, but I think let's touch on this right now. It wasn't always easy, though. He talks about going out. It's almost like you watch a movie and you're watching the character, like in Rocky. You see him training, and then, you know, maybe the scene might be for about a minute long, and then the next thing he's huge. There were a lot of down days for him. I think when I talked to you last week, we were talking about when we were starting out. We were at the mall, and like you'd make the lap around the mall. Tell us about one of those kind of days. Tell us about a not so good day starting out early. And
yeah, I mean, you know, the mall was definitely one of my, you know, main hunting grounds, and there was a lot of like just laps around the mall in which, you know, I didn't really get anything accomplished. You know, really bad outings where I really didn't speak to any girls. You know, and I really had to realize that after quite a few months that, you know, I needed to be talking, and I couldn't allow myself to get into that funk where you just don't speak to anybody and do, you know, countless trips around the mall. So
we'll go more into that later.